General Jack Keane, retired four-star general. Those of you who watch this network, you know how brilliant he is and how prescient he is and how rational he is when it comes to national security, matters of peace and war, and how right he has been about so much. So I was very anxious to hear what you have to say, General, about the president's latest move, which I think is just incredibly brilliant. That's just me. I mean, with respect to NATO, it gets them to increase their contributions to 5%. Nobody thought that would happen. So they're going to muscle up, which is very important. And then he persuades them to purchase military equipment from us to give to Ukraine because he sees that Ukraine needs military equipment to defend its cities, its infrastructure, its people. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, well, a couple things. Number one, I think the president demonstrated extraordinary patience in trying to work with Putin, you know, despite all the happy talk and playing tough on the battlefield that was going on for weeks and weeks, and then ultimately completely frustrated with him. And Putin wanted that to happen, but he thought the president would likely pull away from supporting Ukraine. And so Putin has miscalculated here. And what we got here is clearly the president's decisiveness to support Ukraine. And the second piece in that, so the American people truly understand, is that he wants to take the American taxpayer off the table in terms of funding support for Ukraine going forward. Much of this could have been done in the Biden administration, but they chose not to do it. This president is doing it. And what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, to understand this, there are still arms flowing right now from the previous administration and the Congress's support for funding that took place many, many months ago. So that is happening. It paused for a while, but this week, 155 artillery ammunition is flowing again because of the president's order. 2 PAC-3 missiles for the Patriot system flowing again, and HIMARS long-range missiles flowing again. All a good decision. Now, as to the future, what the president wants to happen and will happen is that the Europeans are going to purchase military capability from the United States, much as we sell it to other countries. Give you an example. We're about to sell 5 Patriot batteries to Switzerland because they wanted them. They're not a part of NATO. That's going to be delayed, and those batteries are going to go to other European countries, Germany, one for sure, and then those batteries will be given to Ukraine. And you mentioned it. What's raining down on Ukraine, this is Putin's major escalation of the war in 41 months, has been on the Ukrainian people. In the major cities, 400 or 500 drones a night with ballistic and cruise missiles. It's the ballistic and cruise missiles that are devastating because there's nothing there to stop them but Patriot batteries, and they're limited in doing that. So this is a decisive decision, and it's the beginning of considerable support for Ukraine without taxpayer funding. That is a good thing. The second part of this are crippling sanctions and tariffs. The president has given Putin 50 more days to think about, one, what he's doing in terms of his military support. And by the way, so our audience understands, Putin pays more attention to what happens on that battlefield than he does to sanctions, because he has always been able to get around sanctions, and the evidence is on his side. Now, these sanctions that are forthcoming, if the president has to use them in 50 days, are purported to be much tougher, and I assume they are. But the battlefield effects is primary in Putin's mind. So we're in a much better position here in dealing with Mr. Putin and attempting to get him to a negotiating table. And clearly what he's been doing, so our audience also understands this, the reason why he's pounding these cities, he wants to break the will of the Ukrainian people, so they put pressure on the Zelenskyy government to make major concessions to Putin at the negotiating table. The people in Ukraine, if you polled them today, they would tell you they would like the war end through positive negotiations that are favorable to Ukraine. They don't want the war to end at their expense that favors Putin. They would rather fight on than do that. So that's kind of where we are. This week, we are in a much better place when it comes to Ukraine and Russia than we were a week or two ago, for sure.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.